Blog Talk Radio.
Hey guys, this is Those Guys with your host Matt Marrero along with your other host, Tristan Zawarudo. Walter. Tristan Zawarudo.
Blog Talk Radio has stopped. Oh,
yeah.
God. No!
That's how it feels like every time. We have a lovely voice. I don't know who it is counting us down whenever we're about to do a show. And now it kind of feels like that's what she's doing. Like, your show will start in 5 seconds, 4 seconds, 3
She
seconds.
holds a knife to your throat.
Yeah. Well, it's fun. When it creeps up on us, sometimes it's like, oh, shit. Because either we call in at the last second or sometimes, I'll be like, call in early, but then, we're in the waiting room or something. Anyway, so today we're talking about JoJo.
In 5. 4.
Yeah. We're talking about something that I never really thought we'd be talking about on this podcast because I didn't, when we first started this, JoJo was out, but I didn't know who I would get to talk, with JoJo about. Because JoJo was out when we started this podcast. However, I don't remember if it was in the U.S. or not yet.
JoJo.
Well, no, because when I talk about JoJo, obviously the manga's been out, no shit. And obviously these OVAs have been out, no shit. But I'm referring to the newest anime adaptation, which came out in 2012, but I don't think it was out in the U.S. until about 2 years later.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so the point being is that I didn't know if we'd ever really be talking about this. And it's funny, I never saw these OVAs, but I have a really weird tie-in, to them. So in a weird way, it's like this is nostalgic while I've never watched them before. And I think you know this story, Tristan. I think.
What? Oh, as in I've seen the anime? Yes.
No, Tristan. No, my story about how this is nostalgic to me-ish.
Oh, God. Well, yeah, see, you mean the line about you knowing the story through memes and pop culture that you just told me 5 minutes ago?
No, I'm talking about from when I was much younger. That's not nostalgia. What?
Oh.
No. I'm talking about actual nostalgia. Because when I got my, I think it was my first or my second, let me see. It wasn't my first, but it was my second. No, it was my second Shonen Jump that I got.
Oh,
second
right.
or third.
They were talking about it.
They were, cause we talked about this a while ago. They were promoting this OVA because they were like, well, I mean, even though technically it wasn't Viz necessarily, obviously Viz was releasing Part 3, the manga. So it kind of made sense, we're releasing Part 3. Super Techno Arts, which is a subdivision of APPP, and APPP actually created this anime.
Right.
So APPP creates this anime. Right, obviously they went through, the Japanese side of Viz and Araki to be able to do that. And so, of course, once we have Shonen Jump out in the U.S., and this is coming to DVD out in the U.S. around the same time, they were like, let's promote it in Shonen Jump. So I'm reading my second or third Shonen Jump. Even though it was the first Shonen Jump, I didn't get the first 3 in the right order. I think my dad got me the second one. He was like, here, this is something that you'd like. He probably found it, at the grocery store or something when he went shopping.
Yeah.
So he was like, hey, this looks like something you'd like. Funny story. Years later, my dad was like, why are you into this stuff? And I was like, Father, you bought me my first Shonen Jump. And he was like, oh, I did? I was like, yes, Father.
Oh, my God.
Well, no, because obviously, because my mom and dad got divorced when I was really young, he wasn't necessarily around when he was around, but he wasn't around when I was watching DBZ, because at his house he would watch movies and shit. So he never really rented anime, other than knowing that I'm into Pokemon. He never really rented. I mean, no, he knew I was into DBZ, but I feel like when I got older, because when I'm late teens, he's like, why? And I'm like, Dad, you got me my Shonen Jump when I was 11, and I got hooked.
Right.
Whoops. Don't do that. If you don't want your kid to be into something, don't buy it for them. It was so funny. We laughed about it, but it was just like, yeah, Dad, what are you doing? So the first Shonen Jump that ever came out, they were promoting this, and they were making it a big deal. And they were actually, I think there was an interview with Araki in it, because they were obviously trying to hope that this thing could sell, despite despite the fact that when this came out in '93 in Japan, obviously it wasn't out. What's the word I'm looking for? It wasn't out of date, right? It wasn't. Yeah. Yeah, it was relevant to the time. Looking at the animation, also having it be like an ultra bloody, gory OVA, it all made sense. Yeah. However, in the U.S., this came out from '03 to '05. Way too late. God. Yes. Oh, God. Yes. Now, granted, the 2000s version of this, because here's what they did, right? We're talking about the 1993 version, and I actually made a little bit of a mistake on my part-ish. So what happened is, in Japan, the way it came out was they released the few episodes of the OVA in '93, and then the other episodes of the OVA in 2000. The 1993 version was the later half of the Stardust, like Part 3, which I think that arc of Part 3 is called Battle for Egypt.
Yes, it is, because they're actually in Egypt.
Right. No, I only say it because I just call them by parts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But apparently when they start getting larger, right, in terms of scope, they actually subdivide into like Stardust Crusaders and Battle for Egypt.
Yeah, I mean, well, Part 3 did, because the first half was them traveling the world, and then the second half is them actually getting to Egypt.
Okay. So, but what I'm also, like, what I want to bring up here is the fact that in Japan, 1993 was that second half of Part 3, and then the 2000 version was the first half, like a prequel. Right. Because for some reason that makes sense.
I mean, the only thing I could think is that I guess they thought the second half would be, like, fighting Dio was more exciting, but you also have no idea what the fuck is going on.
Well, I mean, we all know that, and if you don't know this, well, here, it's something that I had to learn a long time ago, sadly, that when anime adaptations come out, be they OVA, be they long-form, normal, the television anime, what seems to be normal television anime, or a movie, it's all done to promote that manga, baby.
Right, yeah.
So I'm sure around the time this came out, I'm pretty sure that half of, I'm going to look it up right now, that half of the arc in the manga already had happened, and they were probably like, let's sell some fucking manga.
Right, okay.
So I'm pretty sure in Japan, I'm pretty sure in Japan that makes sense because it's like, what was that?
For Japan anyway, yeah.
Yeah, because like, why would you, like, if the new version is out, right, and you want to sell those manga, why would you adapt the first part? Then you want to go by the first part. Yeah. So I want to see when I had the tab open. May have X'd out of it. I'll just open it up again. Anyway, so that's the issue, is that it came out in '93 and then the other half in 2000. And the sad thing, too, is I don't know if it's the same company. I think, it's the same company in Japan for both. It's the same staff, too, but they use such different art styles, and because of how animation had changed within those 7 years, that in the U.S., even though they released it in actual chronological order, so they released it the quote-unquote right way, so the 2000 version is first, and the 93 version is second. But so it looks like the animation changes completely from, whoa, this is like brand spanking new at the time, to whoa, am I watching an 80s OVA, which you and I fucking love, Tristan.
Yeah. Right, it's funny because I looked at it and I'm like, for the time, this animation's pretty damn good.
Yeah, no, because I think, if I'm correct, and please...
It's still kind of stylized. Like you said, it's like, we're watching, it feels like an 80s OVA. It's kind of got that stylized feel to it.
Well, I mean, it's 93, so it is like a... Right. Like, we have to remember that it's not like, we're not looking back with,
it's the 90s. Yeah.
It is. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it is meant to be that way. But here's the thing that I'm trying to get at, though, is I'm pretty sure, and you guys can correct me down in the comment section if I'm wrong, this was during Japan's big, like, economic boom, the quote-unquote bubble.
Right.
So the reason why that looks so good is because not only was it adapting, obviously, a very well-known property, but it was probably the fact that they just threw money at them. They were like, we have money. Fuck it. Here's some money. Let's see if it works.
Right.
And I don't know the sales in Japan, if it worked. I have a feeling, though, in the U.S. it did not. And that's just my take.
It's funny. I would say it at least got like a cult following, but yeah, definitely not widespread or mainstream. But it might be the manga that helped it get to the U.S. more, I guess.
Yeah, because here's my thing, right? Even though I never saw this, and again, I feel like a sense of nostalgia because I read that Shonen Jump article about it, and so that's why it's in my brain. JoJo was always in my brain somewhere, but because there was no legal way to get it other than Part 3, like I think even like a few years later, I was like, oh, let me actually get JoJo. And then I looked into it, and it's like, this is adapting Part 3, not the original. And I was like, why the fuck am I going to get JoJo then?
Right, yeah.
And then I never bought it. I never bought the manga. I never even read into it because I was like, I don't know if I want to pirate this manga. And also, it's not even like people were translating it a lot. Like when I was, really, really young, not like a lot of people had the translations out online anyway, even if you did want to try to follow along because there was no legal way to get it in the U.S. So you kind of sit here, you're like, so there's this anime of Part 3 that I would like to see Part 1 first. And then there's this manga in the U.S. of Part 3 where I would like to read Part 1 first.
Right.
I guess I'm not actually getting into this show.
Don't worry. Skip ahead a few years, thankfully.
Well, more than a few years. Shit, remember, I'm talking about when I was like 11 to 15.
I know.
Yeah, so thankfully...
Well, we made a JoJo out of you, that...
Yeah, no, and I'm super happy about it. No, I'm super happy about it. I always wanted to get into JoJo. It's just that there was no legal way to do it, in my opinion, because...
It was just a weird roundabout way of doing it.
I would be mad at that joke, but it's such a good one. I would be mad, but it's so good.
It's okay. I'll go make my head blow up later.
The world throws a knife at through your fucking window. There was no countdown.
My favorite hat and school uniform. How dare you?
There was no isn't it sad there was no countdown in this one?
Yeah. Well,
I don't know.
Thing,
what?
There was definitely little bits and pieces here that, the later anime definitely did a bit more with the dialogue.
Well, what's funny? It's funny because there's parts of this that I'm like, I watch it and I'm like, this doesn't feel like JoJo. And then there's other parts that I'm like, no, this is JoJo.
Right.
And speaking of the dialogue, like you talked about, every time they did exposition, like every time they were just explaining their fucking every little movement, I was like, this is JoJo. No, because JoJo is very much...
This isn't Naruto or Yu-Gi-Oh!
Right? No, but JoJo, I'm not going to say it started that, because obviously other stuff did it too, but like JoJo, thinking back, like, when JoJo came out, yeah, like JoJo does that so much. Just, he is moving to the left, but if I move to the right, that would mean that he would...
kind of needed.
I'm talking about, like, I don't know, like, there's a difference between, like, what is his move that we need to learn? That's different than if he moves to the left and I move to the right. That means that he would be to the left and I would be to the right. Wait a minute. Dio, move to the right. And it's like, holy shit, just do it. Like, you could just move.
Holy shit, just do it.
It was me.
Don't tell them how to have their stand battle, Matt.
Right? It was me, Dio, who moved to the right. Because I realized you would move to the right, thinking that me, Dio, would move to the left. It's like, holy shit.
Why am I in this coffin? Wait, why are you in that coffin?
I thought he was, like, doing an illusion to fuck with them, and it's like, nah, your friend's dead, bro. And I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Did that happen the same way?
Oh, no. It was much more horrifying in the anime. The later anime.
I would like to say another reason why I think this thing was kind of a victim of itself in a way, even if it came out in the U.S. in the 90s, and of course we have something like Toonami, because remember in the mid-2000s, Toonami started to become a Saturday night block, not a daily block, and their Saturday night block stopped being, there was some stuff that was a little uncut, but not crazy uncut anymore.
Right.
This anime was so bloody that there was no way to try to censor it and cut it up and make it work, even for a late night Toonami.
Yeah.
And it sucks because I think if this came out in the 90s and was a bit less bloody, it could have taken the world by storm. Like, I think it would have done really well in the U.S., even though it's because I know, like, obviously the story is like, but what's going on? Because it starts in the middle of part 3. But I think that there's a lot of heart here, and there's a lot of interesting, like, it would make people intrigued if they could have seen it on television, I think, like as a late night Toonami thing. Like, people would be like, oh wow, JoJo, and then they would probably be trading. I'm sure people already were trading VHS tapes and stuff like that, but still, I feel as if it was just really hard for it to even get a U.S. audience if it was only relegated to DVD or VHS.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm not even talking about 90s VHS where, like, you know, someone walks into a video store, you know, and kind of just accidentally picks it up. Maybe their parents are like, oh, that looks like a fun cartoon, kids. Doesn't read the back of it.
God.
I mean, that happened a lot with some other, like, there's some older anime where someone was like, yeah, I kind of accidentally rented hentai when I was 10 and my family did not know, but I knew eventually. Yeah. Because it's like, because it's about, like, just, you know, going into the video store, your family being like, that looks like an animated title, oh well, and then not checking it, and then the people who run the store aren't checking because they're like, well, we put it in the family-friendly section because it's animated. It's just like, there are tentacles, and they are not family-friendly tentacles.
Right. The hilarious part is, like, Tenchi Muyo still got on the fucking weekday block. Granted, that wasn't as bloody, but I was like, what the fuck is this? What?
First of all, Tenchi Muyo was censored, actually. Second of all...
No, I know it was heavily edited, but even still...
Well, no, because you know what it is? I think the thing that confused us as kids with Tenchi Muyo is just, you know, one of those harem anime, and I think it was one of those things where on that block there was, other than, like, Hamtaro, usually it was like, I'm going to fight you harder, you fuck. And then this was like, I'm going to love him harder, you fuck. And it was just, you see what I'm saying? It was just a complete twist of, because even something like Sailor Moon, there was still this angle of we have to stop the evil bad guys. In this case, just having these women.
Sailor Moon always felt like, oh, it's kind of like Power Rangers, but it's, you know, with girls instead. I mean, granted, Power Rangers had girls too, but.
No, but an all-women cast, an all-female cast.
Right.
Of, like, you know, main, other than, like, Tuxedo Mask. But, like, you see what I'm saying, though.
Yeah.
But a bit different. But I'm saying that, like, when it comes to Tenchi Muyo, it was something that you and I, as children, watching stuff in the U.S., just were not accustomed to, because I'm not saying that romantic comedies exist and stuff like that, but again, we don't get that as kids.
Right.
We usually don't get those as kids unless, like, you know, I mean, I'm not saying that there's no, like, because there were, like, child-friendly dramas at the time, or, like, teenage-friendly dramas at the time, like Degrassi and stuff like that.
Right.
But, like, we never got something like a harem anime in the U.S. marketed to us as kids. So seeing it on the daily, like, on the weekday block for Toonami, that was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, what?
And then having Peter Cullen being like, they're all up in his shit. They really like that Tenchi. And it's just like, all right, thanks, man. With that deep Peter Cullen voice. But talking about JoJo, I think it could have done well in the U.S., but it was so over-the-top bloody, which I'm not saying that was terrible. It's just something that it couldn't be on U.S. TV, and I think that was another strike against it, quote-unquote. But yeah, so it's really frustrating because it was, you know, watching this, I thought it was going to be a lot worse. I was just very nervous about the type of adaptation it was going to be and how it was going to look.
Yeah.
But I think that they really delivered in a way that I never really expected them to. All right, so that was a weird cut. There was some weird phone issues. But putting aside my thoughts for a second because I can... Oh, God, Tristan, Jesus Christ.
What?
You just broke my ears. What the fuck?
What?
You yelled into the phone, so it cracked. Jesus Christ.
I yell into the phone, but okay.
All right. Your phone's mic is terrible, and my phone likes to cut out. So our phones are little shits. All right. Fuck you both. You're little iggies. You little shits. Both of our phones are little iggies, which means that we don't like them until they die. In which case we hold them in our arms, fucking crying because holy shit.
I was about to say.
Holy shit. I did not expect Iggy to die that painful of a death. Like, I expected him to die.
Yeah, that was a bit more brutal.
Well, I mean, of course, because you...
Araki has a thing with killing dogs. I mean, it's basically his go-to to be like, this guy is evil! It's like, thank you, Araki. We didn't need another dog death to prove that.
You know, it's interesting, because the dog deaths, from what I've noticed, well, obviously, yes, there was one in Part 1, but apparently I read up on it, and the ones in Part 3 were actually censored. Not in the anime, in the manga.
Right.
Like, Araki was asked to redraw them because, dude, holy shit.
Yeah. So
apparently in the manga, I don't know if this is being changed in the newer version that's coming out of Part 3, but in the original Part 3, it was actually a scene of Iggy was redrawn, like when he died, and then apparently another dog was killed in Part 3's manga, and that was changed to a giant rat. Very interesting. I think it's just a thing where it's just like you said, like, dude, too many dogs. Holy shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in the anime, in the new one, obviously I don't know how it looks because I haven't seen the new Part 3 yet, the newer Part 3. But what I do want to mention is that obviously one being an ultra-violent OVA that's, in a way, if you look at it from a U.S. perspective, it's quote-unquote direct-to-video. So it usually, like, from a U.S. perspective, direct-to-video means it's going to be bad. And I would argue Japan's perspective, it's we are not bound by any television guidelines, so we can do anything.
Right.
So Iggy's death looking like that makes sense only due to the fact that when you see the newer version, even putting aside the fact that, you know, different time, it's, 20 years, more than 20 years later when Part 3 the new Part 3 came out, even putting that aside, it's just also the fact that they also have to think, oh, we're going to censor this for TV, but we don't want to have to put so much money into it that, like, we're censoring the entire scene rather than just maybe censoring some blood or censoring, making a shadow or making a puff of smoke or something so that on the DVD release, it then looks a bit more bloody, perhaps. But again, we don't have to redraw an entire fucking scene. So, and also you probably saw, because I know you saw it on Crunchyroll. You saw it on Crunchy. You saw the TV version because Crunchyroll gets the TV version of stuff. So maybe the DVD is bloodier.
Which is why Jotaro, when he goes to smoke, is always censored, and it's really awkward.
When he goes to smoke?
Yeah.
Oh.
Remember when he was with Darby and he liked a cigarette?
Yeah.
There are multiple times where Jotaro, since he's a kid, a teen, he's smoking, and they censor it out. But it's really weird. It's almost like a black bar across his mouth, and you still see the smoke. So it's like, I still know what's going on here.
Yeah, no, it's basically, it's just, obviously I'm sure that there are certain laws in motion that are like, hey, if you show that, it'll make it seem like they're promoting smoking to kids and making it seem cool. Because let's be fair, Jotaro is fucking cool as shit.
Well, yeah.
That's a cool motherfucker. So, so in the OVA, he could just be smoking up just fine. Literally pops out of nowhere, and it's like, wait, what? It was beautiful.
Right. When did you light that cigarette? When did you get that drink?
Oh, my God. I knew he was bluffing him, but it was done so well because Darby is just such a fucking cocky piece of shit that he's like, but how could he, I know that he's been given shit cards, how could he be this confident? It's just like, because he's that much of a... What?
Yeah, Avadol looks at his fucking cards and like, I know, he has a shit hand. He's like, wow, it's a good thing I didn't look, otherwise I would have freaked the fuck out. Are you kidding me?
Oh my God, it's so funny. I think, and also, I don't know how this part, is supposed to actually go down. Again, haven't read the manga, haven't seen the newer anime, but I just feel as if it's okay for me to watch this and then watch the new anime, and it doesn't seem... Because at first, Tristan, you were just like, oh, no, Matt, you're being spoiled. I'm like, yes, I expected a Part 3 adaptation to spoil me. You're like, no, but it's the second half, you dick. And I was like, all right, fair, but here's the thing. You didn't call me a dick, but I know you thought it. So here's the thing. even though, yes, of course, it's adapting the second half and everything like that, but there's only 13 parts to this OVA, and even with them being longer than a standard television episode, Part 3's anime was like 35 episodes, right?
Yeah, somewhere in there, 30 to 40.
I mean, even putting aside that we have, the first part, Stardust Crusaders, to look at, the 2000 anime to do a review on sometime in the near future, this version clearly cut out and changed enough to make me not feel as if I'm confident, like, oh, I've seen Part 3, I'm fine. Like, no.
Right.
I would definitely love watching the anime and see, how they extrapolate on stuff, see what's different. I look at this as like a fun little abridged way. Like, if you really didn't care about Part 1 and 2 and you were like, I want to see what JoJo's about, I don't know if this is the best way to do it, but again, it's a nice short way to do it without having to watch all of JoJo to see which JoJo you like the most. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think it's a nice taste. I don't think it's the definitive way to go, I like JoJo or not.
Yeah,
but I think if you were flipping channels and you found this, I don't think it's like the worst way to watch JoJo.
Yeah, it gives you enough to give you a taste and want you to watch more.
Yeah, or check out more, manga, something like that. But what were your thoughts on it? Because you were telling me before we began the show, you didn't hate it as much as you thought you were going to.
Yeah, because I thought it was going to be extremely different. And a lot of the fights, at least, it's been a while since I watched Part 3, but from what I remember, I'm like, this is actually pretty close to what happened. The only, the beginning and then, not the opening to, kind of give a little explanation of what's going on was weird.
I laughed my ass off.
Fighting Dio was a bit different.
Yes. I laughed my ass off at the opening to the first episode. And the reason why I laughed so hard is simply due to the fact that when I see a woman topless in JoJo, I'm like, one of these things is not like the other. So
Araki-senpai.
No, I sat there and I was like, Araki would never draw something like this. Icky women with their icky parts.
Oh,
it's like only...
He only draws men with their icky things and icky parts.
How dare you call those parts icky? No, but seriously, No, but it's funny because, when I see Dio's back, I'm like, that is JoJo. I was like, that's something that makes me remember this is JoJo. Fucking Dio's bare back as he murdered people on that ship. I was like, that's...
Yeah.
I was like, this is JoJo.
And fucking rippling back muscles, Jesus Christ.
But, and that's actually, I want to say, the one thing I didn't like, even though I love the art in most of, if not all of this, these OVAs, these specials, whatever you want to refer to them as, but my issue is this. Dio, the way he was drawn, depending on the scene, depending on how he was standing, either the dude is a fucking linebacker who ate another linebacker, or he's small and very tiny. I don't know if you noticed.
At the same time.
Right? I don't know if you noticed this, but when you're looking at him standing on top of, I don't know if you want to call it a castle, or I heard it might have been a mosque, and that's why there was some controversy. I don't know if it was a mosque or meant to just be. It is?
No, I'm not. I'm not sure. It was always just kind of Dio's keep, his hideaway, his manner.
Okay, because I know there was a controversy.
Yeah, it might have been.
Because there was a controversy about a mosque. That was that's why the DVDs were discontinued, and there was also a controversy about him reading the Quran, because it was meant to be like his evil spell book or something, and it just ends up being a fucking passage of the Quran. It was redrawn in the manga.
Yeah, no, that's not cool.
That's not fucking cool at all. So, yeah, that was redrawn in the manga, but I think it was not in the anime, in the OVA. But and of course it wasn't in the new one, because you would have picked up on that. But, yeah. So, wait, does he have the same hideout in Part 3?
Yeah.
Like the newer anime? Okay, so then that's not the mosque. But there was a different controversy somewhere then. Anyway, so getting back to the way Dio stands.
They might have redesigned the building, maybe.
That might be it, yes. So when he's standing on top of his hideout, he looks very tiny, and not like in comparison to the shot. It's just in general, he just looks small. And then when you see him walking the streets again, literally a few minutes later, he's a fucking linebacker again.
I mean, granted, once he takes Joseph's blood, too, he gets jacked
No, even
up,
before the blood.
Yeah, you mean even before that. Right.
Yes. Unless, of course, he's lying on the ground, in which, like, when he was like, oh, God, I was hit in the head, fuck. Then he's tiny again and slender.
His body deflated.
Yeah, right? The voice actors, by the way, while the acting had issues, and I looked up most of them, that was their first role in voiceover work or very early on,
Right.
and they didn't really do much after, sadly. But I do want to say, though, their voices, though, I didn't despise them voicing over the characters they were doing. Like, hearing the guy...
To me, even old Joseph and Polnareff actually sounded similar to what they sound like now. Similar,
might have been,
but not.
It might have, yeah. I mean, it might have been an actual, like, choice, like, by the whoever's doing it now. If they were just like, you know what?
Yeah.
Let's get someone similar. Now, Jotaro, even though he's a teen, I have to say, when you're built like that, you have to give him a voice that's very much like Chad from Bleach.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Like, I'm sorry, but you can't have, like, me just being like, hey, guys, I'm Jotaro. You know?
Even his original voice in Japanese is very deep.
Yeah, so it makes sense. But no, what I found funny, though, is that, like, Dio's voice, even in Japanese, is very different than what we have now. Both versions were different. But what's interesting is the guy that voiced him, he's actually a musician, the English version. He's a musician. So there's a reason why when he would say the world at certain points, it would be like, the world! Like, it would be, like, intense.
Right.
No, because you could hear it when he said the world some of the times. It was like, oh, damn, like, you're into the world. Like, you're into this. But then other times, it was just like, because I checked, he hasn't done much voice work either. I was like, yeah, you haven't done much. Granted, I'm pretty sure this dub was probably rushed in some way or another, but, you know, because many dubs are. It's just that, it's funny, many dubs are rushed. It's just, like, from what I've heard from, different interviews and stuff like that I've seen and read about. But it seems like they just try to find someone who's the best at being rushed. Like, hey, we got to do this right quick. Are you good at that? Also, the acting part. But again, it's kind of combining both and trying to juggle both at the same time.
Right.
But what I think the most interesting casting choice was the fact that going down to, let's see, the guy that was the U.S. Senator in the car, the one that Dio basically held hostage and, you know, he kind of went a little crazy, understandably so. Dear God. His name is Wilson Phillips in the anime. Not sure if he was in the new one or not. Either way, irrelevant. What's relevant is Charles Martinet actually voiced him over. And if anyone doesn't know, Tristan, do you know who Charles Martinet is?
The name doesn't sound familiar.
All right, well, you know who he is. He's best known for voicing Mario in the Super Mario video game series.
Oh, my God. God damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, I know who the fuck that is. God damn it.
How funny is it, though? I don't know if he's...
I know him by face more than by name.
Of course, yeah, I understand. But, I mean, me too, because I looked at that name and I was like, that name seems familiar. And then I saw it and I was like, oh, my God.
Well,
so, yeah, he's...
I mean, that's cool, but also horrifying.
Right. It's just very interesting because it shows you just how, you know him obviously from Mario, but that voice is so much of an exaggeration.
Right,
that when he's just doing nothing...
speaking.
Right. Yeah, nothing against Mario, but he's doing good, normal voice work.
Right.
And I wouldn't have been able to tell.
Yeah.
So I want to see what else he's been in. But, yeah, it seems as if for some reason, looking at his Wikipedia page, he's been in so little voiceover stuff, I think, that it's listed under television instead of in its separate, like, anime section.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that might be the only one that he did. I wonder why. That's so interesting. Because he's been in a few movies. He's been in a few TV shows. And then I guess maybe he sat back and he was like, let me see here. Do I do anime and get paid pennies, or do I be Mario and whenever they either need me to do another voice, or maybe it's in his contract that like he gets paid residuals every time they use his voice?
Yeah, I don't know. It's funny though, because I've seen him talk about how he got that part too, and it was not so. It was just kind of a, yeah, sure, let me do this. I was, doing other applications that day. Why not?
Probably, honestly, one of them may have been JoJo. He's like, I did JoJo, and then I did that. No, because JoJo, let me think. Actually, no, JoJo's dub came out much later than 93. Of course, he'd been Mario for a bit. Because he was Mario, his first role as Mario was actually in Mario Teaches Typing, I swear to God, in 92.
Right.
That's the first time he did Mario for the, it says notes here, for the CD-ROM version only.
Huh.
Yeah, so that's his first ever time being Mario, and then of course he was brought in to do not only he was the announcer / referee and a few boxers in Super Punch-Out. Then he was Mario in other Mario games. Either way,
right.
Getting back to JoJo, you know what I really liked too about this is that talking about the things that were very much different, let's say, than like anime. Like if you think about like, oh, this is an anime, maybe even like the newer JoJo anime. Some of the stylistic choices they did, like when it's like, oh God, not even JoJo. When it was, I forgot his name. I just call him Guile. I don't remember his name because he has Guile's
Palmera?
hair. Yeah, is it Palmera?
Palmera.
Okay, so when he was running with Kyorin, no, because he was running with what's his name, K-Dog, not the actual dog, but I call him K-Dog.
Sakyoin.
Okay, Sakyoin. Because this is the one issue that I had with the dub. Like, they would just out of nowhere be like, hi, how are you doing, Jotaro? And I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Dude, like, you don't have to go crazy with it. You can just say Jotaro.
Right, yeah.
Oh, it might be a mouth flap thing. But, like, literally, it'd be like, today I'm going to try to fight Dio with Jotaro. And I'm like, all right, guys. We're murking here. Could we just say Jotaro? Like, you don't have to say Jotaro or anything like that. You don't have to, like, Naruto this. But, like...
Right.
But still. Anyway, what I'm trying to get at, though, is when the two of them were running, because, of course, he had his eyes slashed, and they're trying to run away from the water stand, it was fucking amazing to see the cut to everyone's faces. And it's not even like, no, but it's not even like the three of them that filled in the entire screen. I'm talking about the ones that were like small, like rectangles. And it was just the way they cut it in was like a beautifully
done. Time I saw Iggy.
Yeah.
He's the stand user? Huh?
No. That was fucking beautiful. Let me explain why. It reminded me of two different scenes. Evil Dead, when they never actually show, at least they don't show the force, like the evil force behind everything once the Necronomicon is read. I've told you about this. I think I even showed you a scene, Tristan. They just show the camera running through the woods.
Right.
So, and another scene, too. Have you seen the opening cinematic? I don't know if you've played it. I haven't really played much of it, but the opening cinematic to Resident Evil?
The first one?
Yes. It's like it's the really funny one where, like, it's all like live action actors, and then like the dogs are like possessed in the woods and they have to run to the mansion. It's like the first ever Resident Evil. Okay, well, the dogs, like from the dog's perspective, they also do something like this as well. Granted, Resident Evil came out a few years after this, but still, it's really funny how it's just one of those things where it was done in a way that I didn't think of it as like, oh, this is something I would see in JoJo, but it was still beautifully done.
Right.
Just like, like who's the stand user? And all of a sudden it's just fucking, Iggy, and you're like, whoa! It was very much like a scene out of Evil Dead or Resident Evil. So it was really funny, and I loved it so much. Funny, but also like, scary, because like, who the fuck is this? And it turned out to be a dog that farts, and you're like, all right.
Yeah. And then he runs too. Like he leaves Jotaro in the lurch. He's like, "How dare you get back here?"
What I think I love the most is, like, here's the thing, right? So I'm a huge animal lover. I love dogs. I love cats. But here's the thing, right? But like, there's something about Iggy. I think because he has a stand in my head, that means that Iggy's like a human being. Not like, oh my God, look at this little cute puppy. Like, no, he's like a person like the rest of us. So for some reason, Jotaro became my favorite JoJo in the moment when he's like, if you drop me, I will fucking kill you. I will snap. He said the phrase snap your neck twice.
Right. And then he fucking throws him at, I think his name was Indul, but the water stand user.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. He picks him up with Star Platinum and hawks him straight at him.
Did he do that in the new anime?
I'm pretty sure he still does that.
Okay, good. It's one of my favorite scenes in this entire 6 episodes. He just chucks a dog, and I'm like, this is my favorite JoJo.
This is his favorite JoJo.
It's not like if Jonathan did this to his first dog, I'd be like, Jonathan should be murdered by Dio.
Well then. Still does, Matt.
No, I said if Jonathan threw his dog, then I would say that Jonathan should be murdered by Dio. I'd be like, nope, this is wrong. This is wrong. Kill Jonathan.
The fact that he has his body, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Geez. Now you understand my pain, or some of it. Like, Jonathan got the shit end of basically everything.
Yeah, because, like, and that's like
still, getting to marry the love of his life, but also then immediately losing her.
Yeah. Yeah, so, like, here's the thing, right? So this is what's confusing to me. And I don't want you to spoil it, but just spoil it in depth, but just answer the question, please, if you can.
Okay.
Did we know that was supposed to be a thing before the Egypt arc?
No.
Part of it?
Well, before, in part 3?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, that's all I need to know. No, because I'm wondering if, like, my shocked face would be everyone's shocked face if they had read up to that part or watched up to that part in chronological order. Because I was fucking mortified.
Yeah, no, so was I, dude. It's funny. You got mortified at the beginning of this, which is funny because you would have been mortified by it at the beginning of part 3.
No,
anyway,
yeah.
So it's hilarious.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, as long as, because that's what I'm just asking. Like, were we supposed to know that was, Jonathan's body in the beginning of part 3, the actual beginning?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, cool. I'm only saying it because I would still be mortified, don't get me wrong, but, like, it would have some time to be like, okay, I've processed this, and by the time the big fight happens, I'm not sitting there like, you're punching your grandpappy, no!
No, it's super fucked up.
So then I'm under the impression...
I saw that and I was like, how dare you? How dare you defile that great man, you son of a bitch.
What I'm confused about is, and I guess we'll learn this more in, the second half, that's technically the prequel, wasn't the body taken, like, it's not like, what was her name again? Was it Eliza?
Wait, what?
Jonathan's wife.
Oh, no, should be Elizabeth.
Elizabeth, thank you.
What did
Elizabeth do? Like, Dio's body is sinking to the ocean. Elizabeth is just like, all right, get rid of this, and just pushes him off the edge of the fucking... Like, I thought he died in her arms, and then they hopefully had a normal-ass funeral.
No.
Oh. Okay.
You saw part 1. I guess you don't remember.
No, I thought they died. I thought he died. Jonathan died in her arms.
He does, but then she runs away. Like, she gets into Dio's coffin, and that's how she survives the explosion of the boat. And Dio's head is still alive in Jonathan's body as the boat explodes.
Got it. Well, no, we don't know that part yet. We just know that they were fighting each other. No, Tristan, we don't know about that part until part 3. We just knew that they were both fighting and then the explosion happened. And then she escaped in the coffin. Yes. No, because you know what happened? I'm thinking of in the anime they superimposed the heads on top, and then they had the narration. For some reason, I just copy and pasted them, holding each other till after the explosion too, like Titanic.
Right. Yeah.
In a way, Titanic is very much like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, specifically that one scene. In a way, because the iceberg also fell into the water, decapitated.
Oh my God.
Once it was hit by the ship. Anyway, so this part of the anime, I have to say, very confusing. Again, feel very sorry if anyone was just I want to see what JoJo is. Really invested. Not like a partial way, but really invested in it. And then saw this and was like, what the fuck am I watching?
Right.
Actually, you know why I feel bad? Because I feel like if people did that in the 90s, their response would be, I guess this is just anime. And it's no, there's so many other parts. I'm not saying that JoJo can't be weird, but there are other parts that at least explain the weirdness to a degree.
Right.
The only weird thing that I feel that's unexplained, that obviously will be later/earlier, is why the fuck Dio gets to be a character that gets a stand. It's go fuck off. You're still powerful if you could. It's just one of those things where I've learned just from talking to people about it. It's stands and ripple, that doesn't really affect each other, and a stand could technically kill you while the ripple would do nothing. And I'm all right, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm whatever.
It kind of makes me sad that ripple was done away with, but Araki needed a new direction with so many fighting anime out, so.
I have no problem with the new direction. I would just like if the ripple could do something.
Yeah.
Obviously we haven't seen,
it was hilarious that Joseph tried, though. I loved it. It was I have Harmon. You're fucked, you vampire scum. I've evolved past that. Go kindly go fuck yourself. Stab.
Yeah.
Damn it.
It's just really frustrating because again, I have no problem with a stand being stronger. It's just one of those things where watching these 3 episodes, in my head I'm look, I get that the stand is stronger, but there's no way you could have used Hamon into the sand to block a stand.
Yeah, I wonder.
I'm talking about just from the water aspect of it. This is water.
Right.
Well, then can sand not block water? Could you do it briefly? Yes, you were. Because the thing is, too, you could argue, but Araki made him injured, so, he was because, the car fucking flipped.
Right.
But, still, it feels like he...
I don't think he kept up his Hamon training after the whole thing with cars.
That's also very relevant. And I don't think that was mentioned. Obviously it wouldn't be mentioned here, but I've heard from some people that they really didn't mention that much in the anime manga. Because if they did, a one line where I have actually not, I thought everything was over. Because why wouldn't you when it's been this many years? Yeah. Because we think about how many...
I don't even know if Joseph knew about Dio that much in part 2.
Probably not. Well,
because it was all about the Pillar Man at that point.
Yeah.
He knew about the stone mask.
Yes. Yeah, so I'm sure they told him, a very bad man had this stone mask, and he was a very bad man.
But your grandfather kicked his ass.
Yeah.
It's he did, unfortunately. Not hard enough.
So what I gathered from these 6 episodes, for some reason, his mom... This is Josuke's. Not Josuke, sorry, Jotaro. Jotaro's mom was sick, potentially tied to Dio.
It's Joseph's daughter, and then it's Jotaro's mother. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So, and I don't remember, I don't know why I'm forgetting this. So, Joseph, who did he marry? Or was that never explained in part 2? I'm thinking it wasn't.
Well, because the older woman that's at Holly's bedside.
Yeah.
That's who. It's Suzy Q.
Thank you. Okay. No, because different voices and nobody. That's another issue too that I have with this. I have no problem if you're going to start from the middle, but at least do random bits of exposition.
Right, because Jotaro even says, when he gambles against Darby, it's like, my whole reason here is to save my mother. And it's like, wow, we didn't hear about this until this point, and it's your whole reason for being here? Well, shit.
It's been 3 episodes. No, they mentioned that in the first
episode.
episode.
Know why she's sick either.
No, here's the thing.
Dio has a whole lot to do with.
I know that. I only guessed it because I'd imagine if they're I gathered if we're here to kill Dio and my mother is ill, that's why we're here. I assumed the two were tied psychically or some shit. So, here's the thing, right? What I'm trying to get at, though, is this, Tristan. They did mention that she was ill in the first episode, but they called her Holly. So my thought is, who the fuck is Holly? I thought that was like his sister.
Right, no, that's his mom, yeah.
And another issue, too, I know that is his grandfather, but because in the Japanese version he calls him Gigi, I assume.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the Japanese version, but I assume they call him Gigi because in the dub they called him old man, and I'm like, call him your fucking grandfather so anyone who doesn't know what the fuck is going on.
True. Jotaro also is a disrespectful fuck.
No, like once call him grandpa, and the rest of the time call him old man.
Yeah. Because
I'm sitting here and I'm like, I know this, but if you're making this so people can watch this, what?
Yeah. No, you're right. It doesn't make sense for anybody else, but like the hilarious part is like, even in the beginning of the new one, it's like, oh, your grandfather's here. Old man, get the fuck out of here. Well,
and that's fine.
You too, you little shit.
And that's fine. I'm okay with that. It's just because in the new one, part 1 and 2 exist.
Right. Yeah, we know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah, and here's the thing too, right? As long as there's I thought what we were going to get a little bit of an opening narration. No, we got breasts, which I'm like, this is the farthest thing from narration.
Right, pretty much.
No, because I thought we were going to get someone being like, so, I can't tell you everything because, my God, it's a lot to unpack. But they're in Egypt right now. Also, Dio is a mother-flippin' vampire. And these two are related. Also, they fight with something called stands. I could explain it, but it's going to look so much more dope later, so you should probably check it out later. They could have done something.
Better if you think it's cool.
Yeah, but they didn't do any of that. They're just they just drop us with 5 dudes who again I know. All right, I'm pretty sure 2 of them are being taught by Joseph. By Joseph. I'm pretty sure 2 of them are disciples or some shit. Because I have no idea. Because, the other 2 that were I'm from France, I'm from Japan. Which, by the way, I loved how it's how do you know he's from Japan? Well, his name, also because he says san every fucking 5 seconds.
I mean, it's hilarious. He's the respectful one, but still. Yeah, that was the funniest thing for me, that they keep in Joestar-san for Kakyoin, and the fact that they kept in Dio screaming out Muda, which means useless, and he says it once, but every other time he screams out Muda when he starts punching things.
Doesn't he say Muda in the English dub too, or no?
I don't know, actually.
It's been a while.
I think because it's funny, I actually caught the end of Part 3 on Toonami one night, and I saw the fight, and I'm
Part
pretty
1.
sure... Oh, right. Huh. Well, no, because he wasn't... No, he only screamed useless because he wasn't constantly punching. Dio doesn't have a stand in Part 1.
No, but he was... No, but they were doing Ora, 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 Muda, Muda, Muda in Part 1. I swear to God they were.
I would have to go back and look, but I do not think so.
No, because useless is his catchphrase. Throughout even Part 1. Just because it wasn't attached to his stand.
No. but he wasn't screaming it consecutively as he does in Part 3.
Okay. I thought he did, but I'm probably wrong. So anyway, either way, though, they kept it because it's hard to go useless. Useless.
Right. No, I know why they kept it, but like it still made me laugh uncontrollably.
Yeah. Well, it made me laugh when he didn't say it, and he said useless because it was like done as like a half side, like it's not like part of the punching, so it's just like it made sense in context to actually translate it because it was during an actual like I'm gonna hit you once, useless, and then he smacked him away. Yeah. Oh, did you notice, because I noticed this, at episode 6, towards the end fight, did you notice with some of the animation, they were like, we don't have as much money as we did in the first few parts? So some of these faces are not really going to be seen, and we're going to kind of zoom the fuck out a lot. And that transition, like when Dio threw a truck, not the oil tank, before that, when Dio threw a truck at JoJo, I can just say that and just be like, yeah, we know which one in context. When he threw it, when he threw it at Jotaro, the transition scene was really odd. Like with Dio's like movements when he threw the truck. So it's kind of funny. I felt like with that episode, because it's like the last one, they're like, yeah, we're trying here, guys. This is very rough. We're trying. What's really funny is how like when Joseph is like, we're remembering everyone, and even though I know that Guile-san didn't die, it's just really funny because he's like in the helicopter, like, really, guys? I know that I'm alive, but we're reminiscing here about the dead, and they're all like really cool, and the art style looks great on them in the water, and I'm still just here. Like, can someone just say that you remember me being alive? Hello?
Oh my God.
Although when they hugged, I was sad. It was like, even though I've only known these characters for these 6 episodes, but something about it really felt like, I guess because, again, I know JoJo, something really felt like, wow, you may never actually see each other again.
You cry those manly tears, God damn you.
Oh, you want to know something else that made me cry and infuriated all at once, just wrapped into a fucking, like an angry burrito?
Yes.
Hey, look, it's Speedwagon Co. Fucking goddamn it, no one knows who that is. I'm like breaking shit in my home, like, you will fucking know who Speedwagon is, god damn it.
And you should.
He has sacrificed far too much for all of you to just have him be a random-ass reference.
Pretty much. Yep.
Oh, my God. Also, we should... Yeah, goddamn it. Also, we should note this Part 3, you know, even though this version is different than the one that just somewhat recently came out, it's still set in the 80s. So this is still set in 87. And and that's why it's funny how this, like, it came out in 87. It was drawn around the same time as well. So it's funny how, you know, Part 1 and 2, they were in the past. And then once this came up, it was like, actually, modern day now, sort of.
Yeah.
We're not going to be in Japan or in the U.S., but modern day. So that was kind of funny. But what else? When they fight Dio in Cairo, hilarious. There was a point where I think it's after the car chase and they've cornered Takeo and Joseph and they land on a building. And there's this giant neon 7-Up sign in the background. I'm surprised that actually got through. Because there's the 7-Up sign, and there was also a Coca-Cola sign. Oh, okay. And even when they zoomed out later on in the fight, you could still see the tiny 7-Up sign farther in the background. Right. Oh my God. I was shocked by that too, only because I was like, how much did they fucking pay? Yeah, right. Because JoJo is big in Japan. Right. And also, I was wondering, like, how is that over in the U.S.? Like, I'm wondering, like, if, it got, like, changed eventually or changed back or something. Because, like, you know how it is with Japanese stuff promoting themselves and then stuff coming out in the U.S. Like, that Code Geass was sponsored by Pizza Hut in Japan.
Oh, right.
You remember that? Yeah, and then they changed it in the U.S. version. I think they just drew out the logo and just replaced it with, like, no name whatsoever or just, like, pizza on top or something.
Pizza House.
But, yes, no, I wish Pizza House would be funny, but I think they didn't even want that to be, like, a thing. They just erased it completely.
Yeah.
But it's so interesting because I'm sitting here and I'm like, is it because, like, Funimation doesn't have, or not Funimation, I think it was Bandai Visual at the time, which was odd because if it's a Bandai show or, Sunrise Bandai, you sit back and you're like, couldn't they just make the same negotiations with the U.S. version of Pizza Hut? Wouldn't that be interesting if, like, on U.S. TV, Pizza Hut's like, all right. Like, I don't know if maybe it's against, like, a U.S. law or, like, if Pizza Hut U.S. was like, why the fuck do we care? But, like...
Yeah, probably.
But still, I mean, there's a little bit of money to be made there in some form or another, even if it's a small amount, because Code Geass aired on Adult Swim. But again, when it aired on Adult Swim, they just erased all of the... So I think the only way you could see that it was Pizza Hut, I don't even know if the Japanese DVDs have it, it's probably just from TV screen caps at the time of C2 just eating a lot of pizza, which is funny because it does make sense in that context of, Pizza Hut paid for this shit, so she better fucking like pizza. What if she does? What if it's not in her character like pizza? That writer gets fucking backhanded. Do you want to fucking anger the Hut? You will fucking sit there and draw her. You will fucking sit there and draw her liking pizza, God damn it. Pizza Hut. Could you imagine just Dio? No, just Dio. Oh my goodness. Wait, what was the name of Jotaro's stand again?
Star Platinum.
Oh, it is Star Platinum. Okay, cool. Sounds like it's Star something. Just, oh my goodness. You're Star Platinum. Yeah, that's right, Dio. It's evolved into 7-Eleven, into 7-Up. Oh no! 7-Up!
Because that was the one thing that I actually found funny that they made mention to at the very beginning. They made mention to the tarot cards and that Iggy has the Fool, and I'm like, wow, you felt the need to actually put that in. That's, like, I'm happy, but also why?
Probably to make a joke on... No, it was to make it...
another arcana. That's why it's Star Platinum.
Well, they made mention of it because they wanted to make fun of Iggy. Remember? They made a joke, literally. He is the Fool.
Oh, right. Oh, he must be an idiot. Yeah, unlike you. Hey.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I actually really did enjoy, they tried to do a little bit here and there because I don't think they wanted people to be completely lost. But the problem is that it's like, guys, you are starting off in the beginning, like in the middle. Could you at least do a bit, like I said earlier, a bit more explanation, a little bit more announcing, like announcer work about what the fuck is happening. But no, I liked the fights. I think that they were brutal as hell. Like the gore was just fucking intense. Like again, if you had told me like in the 90s, like later 90s, maybe early 2000s, you got to rent this at the video store. I'd try to find a way to do it, because it was it's one of those titles where in the US you're like, I'm gonna try to sneak this by, like I mentioned way earlier, because it's just one of those. It's one of those stereotypical gory 90s OVAs that. I mean, I'm not saying that JoJo, the Japanese version, wasn't bloody, but but this definitely was. I mean, holy shit, Iggy was in half.
Yeah, that was definitely gorier than it is later on.
Yeah, but
that's kind of happy. I'm kind of happy they toned that one down a little bit, and I think they even toned down Dio cutting through civilians because I think he doesn't give a shit about them in the newer anime, which makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think, because it does make sense he doesn't care. I think my issue was, I didn't care about him cutting through civilians. It was terrifying, but, like, it's Dio. Even though you're right, it does make more sense that he wouldn't care about them. My problem was just, not even him look, it it matters. Oh, sorry. It is relevant to his character that he would tell. In my head, it's always Charles Martinet. No, the U.S. Senator. Just fucking drive through these people. That makes sense that Dio does not give a shit. No, that makes sense because he doesn't give a shit. He's like, I want to get to JoJo faster. Any of the JoJos faster. You will fucking drive. You will do this, or I will kill you. That's not a weird thing to me. My problem is how they were just like, so are we going to animate those people getting run over? And I was like, why, though?
Yeah.
I was like, is that really needed? And let me explain. Because anyone out there is like, oh, you're a wimp. Let me explain. Even the Iggy thing, as sad as it was, I know that he was a fighter, so I don't have I have an issue because like it hurts because I love dogs, but it's okay because he was a fighter. He had a stand.
Yeah.
So he was one of them. He really was one of the team. So I'm okay with that. But when it's random civilians getting run over by a car, I don't know. It just makes me think of, maybe I'm getting old and soft, but like it makes me think of like people actually, like we've had like, I don't know, just situations in the U.S. and abroad where like people get attacked by cars, and it's just like, and obviously this came out. I'm not saying no one was hurt by a car, before '93. That would be stupid. Yeah. But like I don't know, just being older, being cognizant of this stuff, I'm like, I don't know why. Because the thing too is like if we showed them getting hit or heard people screaming and didn't see them, okay. But there were a few shots where we saw people flying off, and then the blood splattered on the side of the window, and I'm like, why do I gotta see that though?
Right.
Like there's a difference between
in the new one, you just kind of see the blood running off the side of the car and Dio like smirking in the back seat.
Yeah,
I could be wrong,
which is still rough, but like there's a difference between showing people bouncing off the fucking car, which in a weird way it was like, oh, okay, they seem to be fine when they bounced off because there was no blood, but then you cut to different shots where there is blood, or there was one shot when like they drove off the sidewalk and there was someone hanging off, and I'm like, but again, why you got to show me that? Like just show Dio killing the people that have the powers to kill him back.
Right.
And again, you might be like, but that is
even why everybody else gets pissed off too. It's like, why do you have to include innocent civilians? This fight is between you and me. Oh, because I can and don't give a shit. Oh. And
again, look, yeah, right. And here's the thing too, like obviously a bunch of other anime have had stuff like that, and I'm not saying that, that can't happen. I think it's just there's a difference between like focusing on, I guess, a specific civilian, if you will, versus or doing something to show that shit's getting real, but not so much that you want to get desensitized to it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So like, I don't know, like looking at other anime manga that we've watched, like I want, even if someone gets caught in the crossfire, you want that to be like, oh my God, no, not like, well, just a bunch of people getting run over. It's like, ooh, Jesus, like that's a bit different than like the one that makes you go, oh no, versus like, like a bunch of different people getting just run over. I don't know, like it just, for me, it feels like it's more desensitizing rather than, and also another thing too, like some people might be like, seriously, Matt, shut up about it. It's just different than like a video game or something like that. Because, I'm not saying that it should be banned necessarily. I'm just saying that I don't think I needed to see it. I'm not saying it should be banned. I'm not saying that it should never be sold in the U.S. or something, I actually would love to see these on Crunchyroll or something like that. It would be interesting because
like,
I don't.
It's almost like when we were talking about the Matrix when they were breaking into the security tower, and like, they're in the Matrix, so nobody in that scene is real, but they're just like gunning people down left and right. It was like,
Well, here's what really got me with that. Remember that too, that they were gunning people down that were not like agents. They were they were just security guards, and I was like, even if you want to say that it aged poorly due to like gun violence, even if you want to say that, if you don't want to say that, rather, you're like, I don't care about that. Shut up. I don't want to think about real things. We're watching movies. Okay, fair. But like, why did they have to do that? Like they weren't agents. They weren't working with the bad guys. They were unknowing, and you're killing them before they have the chance to become like you, perhaps. Even though that you didn't really, like, once they were old enough, and they were old enough to be security guards. Once you're old enough, they don't pull you out of the Matrix. That's part of the rules. But still, it was like, ew, like what are you doing? So yeah, like just like that kind of. It's like they're sort
of security, trying to keep them from getting inside the tower, but
they weren't officially agents.
They weren't agents.
Yeah, that's the issue. Usually in the movies, 1, 2, and 3, anyone that gets murdered is an agent, or is someone who becomes an agent, which at that point you're not a civilian anymore.
You're
an agent
anyway.
Yeah. So there's a difference there. But until that, they showed that one scene. In every single movie, it was just agents or, the agents in the real world, quote unquote, not the non-Matrix, the set looking like Sentinels and shit like that, like just flying through the fucking, it was either them or agents in the quote unquote fake world, the Matrix. So either way, jumping back to JoJo, I want to talk about some staff that were on this because there was some very interesting staff that I never knew about. I want to make sure I get this right, which specific episodes they worked on. Let's see here. Oh, actually, some very interesting staff. I don't know if you noticed this in the credits, Tristan, but Lucas Films, or Lucas, which Lucas in particular? I want to make sure I get it right. Not Arts, because it was, THQ, sorry, not THQ, goddammit. THQ Stereo Sound was in the credits. But in the beginning, like that weird credits mashup in the beginning?
Yeah.
Yeah, every episode, which I gotta say, I fucking loved that track. Like, I would fucking dance to that track. Where is it? Because during that track, they actually mentioned, music composed and arranged, let's see. Because it was some, division of Lucas, and I was like, wait, what, really? And apparently they worked on this anime, at least the audio mixing.
Huh.
Yeah, so interesting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see here, because there was a few. There's also some manga to OVA differences that I've read here. Let's see. But it's weird to read these because they actually take the entirety of all 13 episodes into account, not just these.
Right.
So I don't know why this. Dio drops an oil tanker on Jotaro instead of a steamroller, jumping off when it explodes.
Oh, it's so iconic too. Oh.
The fight between Jotaro and Dio is changed drastically. In the manga, Dio figures out Jotaro can move and stop time when he sees his fingers twitching. In the OVA, he figures out when Jotaro survives being punched by the world and stops time. Their battle also demonstrates extra scenes involving pure physical action as the two wreak havoc on the city of Kaido, with a number of civilian casualties on Dio's part.
Yeah.
Also, Vanilla Ice's death is changed as well. Rather than exposing him to the sun, Polnareff kills Ice by stabbing him rapidly and slicing his head in two.
Right, which is not technically enough to kill him, but sure. For the sake of time and OVA, why not? I mean, you don't have a lot of time, clearly.
Let's see here. I want to see which, because I have a few different sources up looking at this. Let's see. Anyway, so Tristan, you were saying earlier you did not hate this as much as you thought you were. So then, how does this stack up against the Part 3 anime? Obviously, I assume you like the... Yeah.
Yeah, there's still no contest, but...
Okay.
I was just expecting it to not be a decent adaptation. I don't know why, but...
Yeah, I'm curious. Did someone tell you that it was bad, or was it just a general, was there, this consensus in the air of, ooh, don't go watch that?
I guess it was kind of that.
Because, I don't remember someone telling me to my face, although it probably happened at least once, because I do know some people who like JoJo other than a few of us in our friend group. I'm sure someone told me, yo, don't go watch that. But I don't... Yeah, I'm just curious. Is there...
Yeah, I can't really, pinpoint or remember where.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know, because that's the thing. I don't know if someone told us or if it just, made sense. Because also,
it was
of course...
probably, after the new one was coming out. So it's there's no point in watching that one. Just go watch the new one kind of deal, probably.
Right. Yeah. For me, of course, I told you guys why I didn't watch it. It just didn't make sense to me to just jump to this rather than seeing. Yeah.
Because when you talked about seeing it, I was actually kind of hyped to see it because I wanted to see like how different it was. Like at this point, I'm like, I know the story, I know what happened. I kind of want to go back and see what they did at the beginning and see like how the fuck they fucked this up.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. I'm like, you know what? If you were watching JoJo for the first time and seeing the new part 3, you could, look back and be like, yeah, that was pretty on point. Shit. For the most part.
Yeah. No, it's actually really cool. So the reason why I wanted to bring up staff is because putting LucasArts or Lucas aside for a second, his company and that company, I wanted to bring up Satoshi Kon, who, if you don't know Satoshi Kon, you might know him through his work. Even if you haven't seen some of his work, you've heard it mentioned over the years. Stuff like, let's see, looking at here is he was in, well, he didn't do much in some of these, but we'll talk about each one and how it matters more, and sometimes a little bit less. He was in, not only did he work on JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, these OVAs, also worked on Pat Labor 2, Memories, Perfect Blue, Master Keaton, Millennium Actress, Tokyo Godfathers, Paranoia Agent, Paprika, and he was an uncredited assistant artist on the Akira manga.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So it's very interesting looking at the stuff that he's done, because looking at something like Perfect Blue, he was the director and script adapter. Looking at Memories, which is an anthology film, he was a writer, background designer, and he did the layouts of Magnetic Rose. Although I think he was writer, background designer, also of Magnetic Rose. When it comes to Tokyo Godfathers, he was the director and original story writer. When it comes to Paprika, he was the director and screenwriter. When it came to Paranoia Agent, which is a TV series, he was the director, and apparently it says original idea and storyboards for the opening and episodes 1, 9, and 13. When it comes to JoJo specifically, and this is what's very interesting, he was the animator on episode 9, and he was the director on episode 12. And I think in this case they're referring to 9 and 12 as these, like the ones we saw.
Right, yeah.
Because, again, they flipped the internet consensus is, let's flip the order, even though they were released in the other direction. Because, I would have felt weird, dude, if I was like, let's watch the 2001 first, because the animation would have just been a jarring change rather than making it look like it's new.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, but still, when we have this online, when we post this, it'll still say 93 versus 2000. So we're not going to have it be like, episode order 7 to 12 or something like that. Anyway, or 7 to 13, whichever. Anyway, he was a screenwriter on episodes 11, 12, and 13. So he worked on the stuff that we watched. So he actually worked on Dio's World, The Warrior of the Void, Vanilla Ice, Dio's World, Kakyoin, Duel in the Barrier, and Dio's World, Farewell, My Friends. And when looking at, let's see, because I know they mentioned, animator on episode 9, that means he animated Iggy the Fool and Endul the Gib. The Jib. So it's interesting, that someone who was so big in the anime world also worked on this earlier in his career. Because I know that you might not know much about some of the stuff that I've mentioned, Tristan, but you've heard about Memories and Perfect Blue and Paprika. Even though I've only seen, out of all those three, I have Memories. I should fucking watch Memories. But I've seen Perfect Blue because, god damn, is it such a good movie. We've talked about this. I think we didn't get to talk about the fact that it's actually finally being released in the U.S. again.
Yeah. Yeah, you were telling me about it a while back.
Well, no. We were talking about it coming to theaters.
Right.
But here's the thing. It had its theatrical re-release by G-Kids in the U.S. This was September 6th and 10th. However, G-Kids and Shout Factory are now releasing the film on Blu-ray.
Oh, okay.
Yes, in March.
Cool.
So it's not even out yet. So, that was really cool. I don't think we talked about that. Because I know we talked about on Keikaku Corner, another podcast that we do here, we talked about it coming to theaters and how I only found it funny because of how mature Perfect Blue is, and the company that's releasing it is called G-Kids. I just find that funny no matter what. It would be like, I don't know, it's like G-Kids releases JoJo's Bizarre Adventure 1993 OVA, and it's like G-Kids is on a logo where Iggy's fucking body is sliced in half. You see why that's funny to me now? It's horrible.
You see why that's funny to me now? Oh, I don't.
But no, it's. I don't know. It's nice to see how this wasn't fucked up. It's nice to see that this is actually of quality. It just doesn't make sense as to why they would do it in this direction.
Yeah,
this
like
half
you said,
first.
It's probably just promoting the manga, but why they kept it the same way coming out here, I don't know.
Well, remember, they didn't. When it came out here, they actually did something. I told you earlier, they did something different, which I thought was odd. They did flip it, but then you see the 2000s version, and you're like, oh, this makes sense. And then 1993's version, you're like, the animation quality is much different, because both of those were released at the same time in 2003 to 2005, either as they were released. I don't think they were ever released as like full-on what's it called? Full on, like, here's the full season, like, here's the full season on, 3 discs or whatever. No, they actually released them every 4 episodes per disc. Because this is when DVD first came out. So, like, they were still on that. Also, because of the fact that, remember that Super Techno Arts is a subsidiary of a Japanese company.
Right.
And usually, not all the time, but usually, when you have a company that's a subsidiary of a Japanese company releasing an anime in the U.S., they release it the same way you would in Japan.
Right.
Even to this day, remember Kill la Kill is being released. It still is. I don't know if they're out of print now, but it was being released. 5 episodes per disc, separated into different releases. Remember, 25-episode anime, 25 episodes. Released 5 per disc episodes. And each one cost $25.
Yeah.
Let me explain to you guys why that's a giant no-no in my book. Let's compare that to a show called Matchless Raijin, right, or Raijin-O, whichever way you want to call it. That's released by a company in the U.S. called Anime Midstream. I have 2 of their volumes. I'm not a big fan of the dub of the first volume because they're just starting out and they're using very new local talent because Anime Midstream, they were in Louisiana. I think they've moved recently, but either way, I was not a big fan of their dub. However, the Japanese audio is there too, so fuck it. I'll watch the Japanese version. It's a mecha anime. Why is this relevant? Anime Midstream only has 2 licenses to their name. They have Matchless Raijin, and they also have the they have BTX. That's their newest show. And thankfully with BTX, they have a dub on there and a sub, and I think it's either 1 to 26 or it's 1 to 52, which means that it's either the entire show or it's half of the series. And that, I get why that would be like $50, right? But these Raijin ones, they're at least when the ones that had the dub on it, they're 18. I think they're like $18 to $24 for I think it's like 10 episodes. That sounds like a no-no. Matt, would that not be a no-no in your book? You would think so. But because they're such a small company, I give them a pass. They have 2, like I think of them like I would think of us if we got the rights to something. Like you give them a pass because they just started out. Remember, they've only had 2 shows to their name they've been in business for 10 years. They have 2 shows to their name. I give them a pass, right? The company that released Kill la Kill in the U.S., again, they're a U.S. subsidiary of a Japanese company, that it's not their first rodeo. So if they're going to sit here and, remember, Kill la Kill came out in 2015. Like Raijin, the Raijin show, just call it that, instead of Raijin-O, the Raijin show, they started releasing that in like 2010, even though it's still far beyond when they should have done something like that. But again, you're new. I'll give you a pass. And now BTX, they're not doing that. So I'm like, you did it. You got past what happened there, and you're doing this now. Awesome. So I'm okay with it. But with Kill la Kill, I'm like, no. And even when JoJo was doing it and other companies were doing that when DVD first came out, people were wisening up, and they were like, why are we paying $25 or more for 4 episodes on a disc? We were doing that on VHS. Why are we doing that when a disc, format could have a lot more on it? And then thankfully over time, companies learned and they actually put out full season fucking box sets. But again, I think that also potentially hurt it as well. Like, would you have bought JoJo, even if you love JoJo? Would you have been like, 4 episodes? It's a 13-episode series, and each one has like 4 episodes on it or 3 episodes on it, and it's $20 or more.
Right.
Go on, go buy it.
Yeah.
Why aren't you excited?
It's pretty rough.
It is. You know, now that we're talking about it, I have the Shonen Jump right here. Let me actually see if they have the actual.
There you go.
I mean, I'm not gonna convert it to to current USD, but just looking at how much it cost at the time, let's find it. Anyway, so Tristan, anything else you would like to say about this as I'm trying to look this up?
Trying to think of other points that were. Oh, right. Spider Joseph. That point where Kakyoin and Joseph are fleeing from Dio and they're jumping off building tops.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, all right, Joseph Joestar is athletic and in shape for a man his age, but he should not be able to jump from the street up to a second or third story building top and keep going. I'm like,
so that didn't happen?
Go? No.
So that didn't happen? Oh, okay.
No.
All right. Yeah, I think they're just trying to speed things up. By the way, Holy shit, by the way, dude. I didn't realize this opening up the Shonen Jump. Literally, it's a 2-page spread. I wasn't kidding when I said they tried to explain things. A 2-page spread that literally on one side says Star Platinum Stand User, Jotaro Kujo, Powers, Speed, Strength, Unknown Abilities. Hierophant Green, Stand User, Noriaki Kakyoin. Kakyoin. They actually talk about all 5 characters and tell you what they do and what their stands are.
Nice.
And then actually tell you, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, the manga, written and drawn by Hirohiko Araki. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure started in Weekly Shonen Jump in 1987, over 76 volumes and still going strong. So they're literally telling you, look, guys, we get it, but if you read this, this little blurb, maybe you'll buy the DVD and act like you know what's going on.
Right. Oh,
that's kind of funny.
Thing.
What?
The pronunciation of Hierophant. Hierophant. God. Dio, why did you... Jotaro hasn't even punched you in the head yet.
What's funny is apparently they didn't call it the Ripple or even Hamon. They called it Wave. The Wave.
Yeah.
Which is,
I mean...
It's accurate,
decent.
but it's accurate, but it's funny.
Yeah. It's weird.
It's only funny. It's only funny because remember, if you don't know the context of what's going on and you're watching it, and he's just like, "You use the wave." I'm like, is there a crowd of people just doing the wave?
Oh my god.
Anyway, so JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Volume 1, Super Techno Arts, bilingual DVD, 90 minutes. That means that's 3 episodes.
Right.
$30.
Shit.
And it says $45 with box set. I don't know if that means that there's extra episodes or if they'd give you something extra. And it's December 2002 is when it came out. So we should be clear. I think there was a delay according to some people, but at least according to Jump, it was supposed to come out in 2002. So let's be clear about that. Extras, it came with. So here are some extras it would have came with. I think they're talking about the box. The box set may have came with because there is. Let me see here. There's a tarot card, art gallery, background narration, and production footage.
That would have been... Oh, okay. I thought like an actual deck. That would have been fucking cool.
I'm worried. Yeah, I don't know if it was an actual deck or if it's like digital cards that tell you about the story. I honestly don't know.
Yeah. It sounds like it's just like an art gallery on the disc.
Oh my God. It says right here, swear to God, it says it right here in writing. Planned as a 6-volume DVD series in America, the first volume will contain 3 30-minute episodes, and the next 5 volumes will contain 2 episodes each.
Ooh.
Unless that shit went from 30 to 15 to 20, how fucking dare you? Oh. And I know we sound like kids right now that weren't there. No, we were there. It's just really hard going back.
Yeah.
I bought the last volume, and I'm talking about DVD here, of Yu Yu Hakusho with 4 episodes on it. I bought that in FYE for $25.
Right.
Because I think I've told you the story, Tristan, and I'm pretty sure longtime listeners know the story. I got, once Yu Yu Hakusho went, quote-unquote, off the air, it was still on the air, but it was on at 5:30. But once it went, quote-unquote, off the air for me, so I couldn't see it either weekdays or weeknights. Also, it was harder to see it on weeknights, so, again, became an issue. What ended up happening was I was reading the manga. I think it was close to being, quote-unquote, I don't know if I was anywhere near catching up, i.e. getting to the end of the Dark Tournament, or if I had seen the Dark Tournament and then didn't see anything after. What matters is this. I saw Sensui and everything afterwards by going to my local GameStop, which is still there, by the way. It might not be post-2019, but, I don't know. We don't have to get into that right now. But my GameStop, it's still there. I went to that GameStop, and they were trying to get rid of all of their DVD stock, literally everything. So they were selling volumes, 4 episodes each, of Yu Yu Hakusho used for $3 a pop. So I sat there, and I kept on going. Like, if my grandma was going out, I was a kid at the time. My grandma went out. I went out with her. And I said, can we stop here? And she was so mad. But I was like, but they're so cheap, Grandmama. I was like, abuelita, they're cheap. And so she was getting pissed, though, because, like, I would consistently look at 3 DVDs, get all 3 of them, walk out of there. We would go back, not even the next day, maybe even 3 days later. The DVDs would still be there, the rest of the set. And I would buy those 3 DVDs.
Yeah.
And that happened until I watched from a few episodes after, like, Sensui was, like, it wasn't when it first started out, but he was there, like, for a few episodes already. From that, all the way to the end of that next Demon Tournament arc.
Holy crap.
Because it's 4 episodes each, and we were already in the 80s. So if I keep on buying them for $3 a pop, Yu Yu Hakusho ended at like 119 episodes.
Right, yeah. No,
so eventually, it was. It's just really funny. Eventually you catch up, but then I couldn't find the last one because it was brand new, and all the DVDs were gone in the used section at GameStop. And even if they weren't, again, the DVD was brand new. So I fucking sucked it up. I had like birthday money or something. I walked into FYE across the street, and I bought it for $25.
Right.
And even at the time, I'm like, this is before you and I met. I'm like maybe 13 at the time, 12 or 13. I just like, this just doesn't feel right.
Right.
Because it's 4 episodes. Even if I didn't get those for cheap, it's 4 episodes for $25 brand new. I was like,
the pain is real.
Yeah, the pain was real. So, yeah, no, that's what. If any of you young whippersnappers are listening in, like I watched Part 3 JoJo on Crunchyroll. It's like, yeah, this is what life used to be like. This is what being an anime fan used to be like. Oh God. Anyway, anything else you want to say before we wrap this up, Tristan?
No, I think we're good.
All right. How you doing in Smash?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. Anyone listening in, stop time, turn it back. If you can hear throughout this entire episode, I've heard Tristan clacking the entire episode, clacking on his Pro Controller. You're trying to slack off at work? I'm kidding. I don't pay him.
The work of an enemy stand.
Speaking of work,
it's the work. It's my stand who's playing Smash, not me.
I could just imagine a stand screaming, "Ora, ora, 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 ora."
You think it wouldn't? You think I wouldn't?
While punching his Kirby.
Pretty much. I thought you were punching the screen, but yeah, sure. We'll go with that.
Yeah, right? Anyway, so all jokes aside, though, I hope you're doing well at Smash, Tristan. I need to pick up the controller again. I've been doing so much other shit. I'm like, I have to actually dock my Switch and record some more footage. Anyway, so I love you all so much. Hopefully you tune in next time. If you tuned in this time, hopefully you tune in next time. So we'll be doing the next half of this, the earlier half of this. We'll see how that checks out and see if maybe they made the right decision in the U.S. or they didn't make the right decision by flipping it around and actually taking the second half, the prequel, quote unquote, and putting that first. We'll find out.
I guess
we'll see what happens.
We'll find out, yeah.
Yeah, right? And the animation looks quote unquote updated because it was literally like 2000 is, even though it didn't come out in 2000 in the U.S., it really was animated around that time. So the way it was done is completely different. Like they truly look like 2 different anime adaptations. And I know they technically are, but no, but the difference is stunning. Very interesting.
That's going to be interesting to see. Yeah.
Yeah, it will. So anyway, again, love you all. Hopefully you like this. If you do, you can check out more stuff that we've done over at Those Guys on the Radio YouTube channel. Just search up Those Guys on the Radio to find us. Or if you're listening to this through our Blog Talk Radio account, blogtalkradio.com/Those Guys on the Radio, you can see the plethora of different shows that we've done throughout the years. We've been here for nearly 5 years. Not just Tristan and I, though. A bunch of other hosts as well have come on the show and done different, different series, different episodes, things like that, talking about a bunch of different stuff. And you can also find us on iTunes by searching up Those Guys on iTunes. Now, if you heard about our Keikaku Corner show before, because I mentioned it, if you heard about that before, we usually do that twice a month. We're actually doing that live on Twitch now, so twitch.tv/TG Productions. You can actually find us on Twitch doing that live on Tuesday nights. By the time this comes out, we've already have done it at least once or twice this month, because I don't know when this is specifically coming out. Now it's another episode of Anna Saturday, but I don't know when it's coming out. Anyway, yeah, I have no idea, right? But because we try to have things planned out, but sometimes a new movie will pop up, and then it just gets bumped. So I hate saying, because I've done this in the past, and I felt like beholden. I've been like, this is the first X of the new year or something like that, and then I'm like, damn it, this new movie came out. Shit. It makes us look weird that one supersedes. Yeah. So this is coming out when it comes out. But again, you can listen to our old stuff, listen to stuff like Keikaku Corner, either live on Twitch, or you can actually watch us on our Those Guys on the Radio YouTube channel, cut up into different clips talking about different stories, and you can even get the full episodes in MP3 format over at our Patreon, patreon.com/TG Productions. There are a bunch of different tiers. We're not going to go over all of them right now because there's a heck of a lot of them, but they can all give you something really cool that can change how you view us and what you view of us, and also how you can interact with us, depending on what questions you want to ask, what questions we can answer, or what articles we'll even talk about on Keikaku Corner. You guys can really help us mold the show into what you want it to be, not just what you're seeing from us, which I'm sure you would like as well, I would imagine. Either way, we also have our Those Guys Play channel as well. Really cool channel where we don't just play video games. We started off playing video games. Also, we do reviews, retrospectives, things like that. A lot of cool stuff you can just check out by searching up Those Guys Play on YouTube. Also, I have Matt Rants, which again is also on our Twitch live, but also cut up on YouTube as well. And we'll, of course, be playing live games on Twitch every now and again. Recently, Tristan, you and I started playing Dragon Ball Z Budokai, and it was a lot of fun. So we'll be doing that more and more games like that, not only on our Twitch, but also on YouTube Live as well. All right, guys, love you all. Take care, and tune in next time for another episode of Anna Saturday. I think this is when you say...
Bizarre adventure.
Yes, our next strangely bizarre OVA adventure. All right, guys, so love you all. Take care, and see ya.
5 seconds have passed.